existing sprinkler system. The existing sprinkler system does have full coverage. It was extended to any additional stairwells that were added for access above the clean room system, and sprinklers are in place surrounding the entire clean room system or clean room itself. So that will be this case of the second extension as well. So it sounds like that's something we need to get taken care of immediately if it wasn't done. So we'll make sure to get that out for a walkthrough.
Actually, I don't know that we can
Take action.
I don't think we can take any action on this because the requirements of 675 IUC 12.5, 5.1 notice to local officials haven't been met.
That on our end?
I don't think it was.
No, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out who reviewed it. I don't think I looked at it, but, yeah, usually we catch that.
Okay, no big deal. I mean, it's not a big deal, but yeah, if the local official, by statute too, they have to be notified, so the commission's action. So if it got forwarded, it should have been rejected, no big deal if it didn't get it. Notice that, but usually those don't squeak through the crack. Yeah, the commission can't. You guys can table it, and let them notify the local and come back, or how?
Yes, I would vote to table until you can contact local building fire officials in Zionsville. Is that what's the?
Like that.
Like contact, right? Just because they weren't notified, as Mr. Coppin stated.
Yeah, this is a pretty quick turnaround in terms of the timeframe that the application was. We were notified of this meeting at pretty late date as well, so we'll make sure we get the fire marshal notified that there's an extension coming.
And make sure that they get that, the application is sent to them through the correct process. So that they have the ability to come to the meeting if they choose to. Want to speak on your behalf or speak against it.
Okay.
Even a letter from, or even a letter from them, correct? Or if they want to get on,
Yeah, I mean, it's whether they support or oppose or neutral, that's their prerogative, but legally, we can't take action if they are not notified. And that's I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't want to waste more of your time. I apologize. I noticed that when you mentioned Sam, I thought, boy, I haven't seen Sam in a while. I wonder what he's up to these days.
3.5 years. Yeah, appreciate the info. We'll make sure that occurs. So.
We have to vote on the same.
They need to update the town, they need to update their application with the portal, so it's reflected in there.
I don't think they go back yet.
Can I email it to you? You guys can put it in or not?
I mean, if you guys get an email or a comment from them, you can send it to me and I can attach it to this variance.
Okay. And then that'll solve the portal issue, so I'll solve the portal.
Yeah, we'll make sure. I didn't think we have your contact information.
Okay, if not, if not, you can give us a call and I'll make sure you get that.
Thank you.
you can take a vote to table just on.
Yeah.
On our ability to not be able to make an action.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Good?
Yes.
Mr. Chris?
Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Height,
Yes.
Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
Mr. Pelham.
Yes.
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
That one's taken. Next up, we have 2403, 28607 Center, Michigan City.
All right, this one, and I'm not sure if someone's here for this, but I just uploaded an email that I got this morning. It looks like they want to withdraw this.
Correct. I heard as well.
Is next up is 240329 A through J, GLC Mishawaka Apartments and Garage.
With this one, the only two that we recommend to you guys was A and B, the rest, which is C through we recommend approval. A has to do with the request to allow the combination of a 2-hour fire barrier and a 2-hour horizontal assembly and little firewall, and B They want to have egress corridors, have dead ends ranging from 30 to 35 feet. And the reason why we sent this to you is we actually hadn't seen something like this when it comes to A, with the 2-hour fire barrier and a horizontal assembly, and B, when it comes to dead ends, usually it's one area. For this, it looks like it's several different areas. So we thought this would be best for you guys to look at.
I'll make a motion to approve C through J as the type A and B variances.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Chris? Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Penny?
Yes.
Commissioner Pattern?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
At Rensink RTM Consultants. We're withdrawing variance B. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, well, I have to save some time. Variance A addresses the separation between the enclosed parking garage and the multifamily type 5A construction. So we're doing a 2-hour fire barrier and a 2-hour horizontal assembly. I think you've got a section detail that illustrates that. So it's vertical separation until you get to the top, and then they are bringing some of the type 5A over on top of the garage. So we've had several variances with the 2-hour fire barrier. I believe this is the first time I've had one that included a 2-hour horizontal assembly. So this is, I'm referencing a section in here in the code in 510.7 to make an analogy. So section 510 has a variety of options where normally if you have two different construction types in the building, you have to do a firewall. Section 510 was created to give some other alternatives for some various types of horizontal separations to allow 2 different construction types, mainly involving parking garages primarily, although it does include some other occupancies. So 510.7, I made reference to this in item 3 under facts point on adverse to safety. There's an Indiana amendment to 510.7, and we've used it numerous times, where you can do a vertical and a horizontal 2-hour separation for an open parking garage to type 5 construction. And I think in every case that we've involved in, the parking garage was not sprinkled because garages don't require sprinklers in the current code. So what we're doing is borrowing that concept to use it for this project, but instead of an open parking garage, we've got an enclosed parking garage, and we will be providing an NFPA 13 sprinkler system. So the whole idea is that we'll have a 2-hour structure, supporting elements vertically and so forth, so that it's a full 2-hour separation between the garage and the type 5A construction. And the 5A is sprinkler for NFPA 13 R is permitted. And that's just 4 stories.
So what number 3 is basically saying is that if this were an open parking garage, it would be allowed.
Correct. And we wouldn't have to sprinkle the open parking.
So what's triggering the variance request is that it's going to be enclosed.
Correct. It's an enclosed parking garage because of the configuration, you know, it doesn't have the exterior openings to qualify as an open garage. So it has to meet the enclosed garage requirements for ventilation and so forth, and also the sprinklers for NFPA 13.
Has the commission in the past ever approved a variance like this where you have a closed parking garage surrounded by type 5B multifamily?
We've had several of these. It's very common. Matter of fact,
Okay, changing it to the 2 hours as long as you have a 13.
this commission typically doesn't see them because they've been approved. The agency has approved those directly and, you know, stated this is the horizontal thing is the wrinkle on this one, but yeah, we've had several of those where we just use the precast concrete walls for the.
I'm just curious, because in the past, I've always had to do a firewall
Well, yes,
in other situations, and I'm like, I don't know if I've ever done that with
we've
a
had.
2-hour fire barrier.
And I've listed those here, although it's fire barrier approvals, but we've had, yeah, quite a few of those recently. Where they were approved directly by the commission.
It's been two owners. You had an owner of the garage and the apartments.
Yeah.
So you were separated.
Yeah, I've done, when I've been caught with that, it's been like one project, one owner, and had to do the firewall,
Yeah.
which,
Technically, that's what you're doing. We have had this variance several times for a fire barrier, which it's probably an understating really the separation, because a characteristic of a fire barrier is that it doesn't require supporting construction to be rated. It does require supporting construction to be rated, but it doesn't, what I was going to say is it required the, what's called structural stability. Where it's, people call it structural independence. Code doesn't really use that term. It uses structural stability, which means that the wall remains standing. And with the collapse of
Yeah.
construction on one side or the other, the wall won't collapse. But the clause that people miss in that is that it's for the time period required. So there's an argument to make that we actually do have structural stability, because if the supporting structure, if we need a 2-hour separation, and the supporting structure for this separation is 2-hour rated, it will remain structurally stable for the time period required.
Yeah.
So I think it actually meets the intent of a firewall. It's just firewalls can't.
yeah. Plus, you got fire protection, your stairs or your egress stairs are inside
Yeah.
the garage. You're not exiting, into the structure.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with this. I would make a motion to approve.
First, second?
Okay.
Is it precast or cast in place?
Commissioner Good, I believe it's great.
Yeah, yes.
Commissioner Chris. Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Commissioner Height?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankie?
Yes.
Commissioner Pattern?
Yeah.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
I don't know that I agree with it's 2 hours, so I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable.
But it's for the time period required.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Because
understand.
people read that and think it has to stay forever. That's not the case. It's for the time period required. So I would argue that
agree to
it meets the intent of
I
it,
agree with you.
but not the letter.
Yes. That's,
Sounds good in theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing my.
It's good in practice, but not in theory.
even a sieve will hold water temporarily.
I'm sorry.
I said, even a sieve will hold water temporarily.
My point is that it'll stay standing for 2 hours. So I would, as would.
It's approved, Ed.
Thank
Thank you.
No.
I think the 24
I know what we
takes that out.
shortly, but I just wondered if there was anybody, wasn't a professional, just on your own here to discuss your variance, from a way that we could, and that's up to folks whether or not we want to hear somebody, so they don't have to wait on people here from Indy.
This is the second month, so I feel like we've seen you before, haven't we?
No, haven't seen me, no.
You still on this license then? I don't know.
Firebrand Ministries.
Oh, yeah.
What city?
We're in Linville, Indiana.
Linville, okay, it's not on the agenda, so I was just curious.
Where the heck, Linville?
And we're, southern Indiana, southwest Indiana. We're about 30 minutes from Evansville. So, my name is Josh Sanders, pastor at Linville, Indiana, pastor 2 churches there, and also the founder and director of Firebrand Ministries, 208 Main Street, Linville, Indiana. And so, the good news is I'm not here to get you to update codes or change codes. I'm just asking for a reasonable accommodation in our situation. Our situation may be a little different than some of your other variances that you have encountered, but basically we are a resource for men that seek to live free from addictive lifestyles. We provide care, counsel, and community to men that seek to be free from addiction. So myself personally, I've been in a dark cycle of addiction in times past. And so I know what it's like to live in that lifestyle, but also know what it's like for someone to give hope that that lifestyle don't have to continue. So I've been pastoring for 14 years, been in Linville for 7 years. Really should be a statistic, being that I was using IV drugs at 15 years old. But due to the grace of God, that's not the case. But I am still here and offering men a better way of life to maintain sobriety. We house 6 men in our house. We consider ourselves to be a level 1 because we're set up just like Oxford House model. We are not, we don't have any employees. We don't have any staff. We don't have anybody that draws a salary. We're all volunteer based. So we're nonprofit, religious organization. Our house is 2,885 square feet. There should be in the attachments or downloads a floor plan of what that floor looks like. There's literally 5 rooms in the entire building. And that includes kitchen, bathroom, and the front living area. And so there's literally no separation with the men that live there. They're in a dorm style or barrack style area in the back of the building. The violation that we received is in regards to installing a sprinkler system, which would be basically detrimental to, we would have no income other than we're just managing the bills. Basically, we don't receive any government funding, nothing from the state. I also had attached to the variance paperwork from the Family and Social Services Administration. That's indiana.gov that describes what level 1 residency, primarily pure run, which is exactly what we are under the Oxford House model. And we, like I said, we don't receive any certification. We do have fire extinguisher in every room of the building. We have smoke detectors, 10 smoke detectors in the home. We have a house meeting every Sunday night. We go over our exit emergency plan. We log that every week. So actually the guys that we have there now, we've had for several months. We've been in operation for over a year now. But they're aware of the exit emergency plan, where to meet outside the building. Nobody comes and goes out of the building without signing out on a sheet. So everybody's always accountable for. We know who's in the building and who's not in the building. So, we're just trying to provide a safe environment. I know I've heard from some members of the commission already how the lives inside the building are the ones that are the most important. And that is most important to us too. That's why, 8 people in Indiana die every day of a drug overdose. And so I've got letters here from all of my men that have testified and wrote down letters for you that I didn't have those attached to anything, but I got them with me here today, how they have explained that basically this ministry has saved their life and that they would not be where they are today if it wasn't for this ministry. Every one of them are physically able. Nobody comes that is not able to work. So when they come, they don't have basically anything with clothes on their back mostly. And so we help them get all their identification. We help them get a job. Nobody is not employed. Everybody obtains gainful employment within 30 days. So it's not like they're physically disabled, but everybody that is in the house is struggling with either drugs or alcohol addiction. We've got 2 guys. We've had graduations. We've got 2 guys graduating this month in April. And so there has been successful completion. of the program. Again, all of our we got pastors and teachers and volunteers. They're all basically volunteers. And so with the fire extinguishers that we've added and the maps and the different locations of the house that we've added, the logging that we do every week as far as making sure everybody understands how to get out of the building and where to meet once out of the building. I mean, we would propose if we could put an additional exit into the building, something that would be feasible, that would be able to do. I mean, we're willing to comply with all of our efforts to try to make the building as safe as we can. If we could add an additional exit to the building, but I've got bids that were attached to the variance also, with the numbers are astronomical. There's no way that we'd be forced to shut down if we was at.
A couple questions.
Yes, sir.
So did you purchase the building before you opened the shelter?
And so now we rent the buildings, all we do. We do not own the building.
Just interject one thing before the questions start. I just want to give a little background so that.
Yeah, so we never heard from
Yeah, and I think I was trying to plug my computer in, and I don't know if it's code services, so I was gonna take it, so this is a little more complicated, so, just to let you guys know, so IDHS cited them back in, it looks like September of last year. We cited 12.4.11B, which was the change in the occupancy group in terms of complying with the code with the change of occupancy. This case made its way through administrative review. I was involved in it. We ultimately executed agreement between me, partner here today. At that time, he had an attorney, and I don't believe today he has an attorney, but ultimately what it was, we signed an agreement, it looks like early December. But basically, they would file a variance application. That application was to be filed within 75 days of the dismissal of the matter, which we agreed to dismiss. IDHS waived its authority to review the merits of the variance application because, as we talked about on the call, on other cases, the reason we did that was because we were the enforcement body, and we always feel like it's fair for them to bring a variance application before a more neutral body than IDHS, because we were involved in the enforcement. So we waived that authority, sent it to you guys. With that being the case, IDHS in this agreement, in paragraph C, IDHS specifically reserved the right to take a position in opposition to the variance. That's for code services if they want to take a position, but that's ultimately how it got to you. It was cited for 25 without compliance for the change of use. It was negotiated out and would be forwarded to the commission for your guys' essentially de novo review. And that's how we're here today. And along that lines, I've heard it mentioned today. So you guys are aware that this is along the lines of the FSSA kind of recovery resident model that we've been seeing in the past, and that's why we felt the commission should get a take at it.
Additionally, with the application for the variance, I've got over 125 different residents that are doing exactly the same thing that we're doing in the state of Indiana.
I appreciate that, because now I've got something to get to as well.
But I'm aware there's a couple other cases like mine, and I am here at Pro C today, but have been offered to take this case if I'm not able to. We're not able to work something out, as, like I say, we're trying to comply to the best of our ability with a reasonable accommodation. I mean, safety is our concern.
I appreciate that. I know you say that, and I'll just interject this just because of who I am. But I know you say that, but you're not compliant with all the safety features that are required as a minimum from the state, which is that it should be fully sprinklered building for the protection of your clients within that building, or those people that are sleeping in that building, that they deserve the right to be fully protected through those hours.
And if I'm designated as what they're designating me as, like I say, I am not designated, I don't believe I'm designated to write on the violation that I'm a level 1.
What does that mean?
What's that?
Level 1, what does that mean?
Well, I could, if you would,
Well, so
if you would like, Doc, could you hand these out for me, please?
I guess when you say level 1, so that's that is through who?
Yes, please.
That is, okay, so yeah, I've seen this. So
We're just exactly, like I said, we're peer run, Oxford House model.
So who owns the building?
Ben Modlin is the gentleman that owns the building, and I just rent the facility, the building from him. It was a lock and key. We didn't change anything to the structure of the building. Family lived there before we lived there. I mean, we literally have 6 men that live there.
So as the owner of the building, does he know the process that's going on right now? And-
Yes,
And does he want to be involved in this process and be here? Since
No,
it's his building that will need to be sprinkled?
he is very aware of the entire situation, and he supports our efforts and everything that we're doing. So he's aware of it. He knows, and it's just put in my hands as the.
And so does.
Does the owner have to be the applicant for the variance?
He can do it on his behalf, he's acting in some sort of agency capacity.
Like, he got notice of the violation. He's been involved in the whole process since it began. His name is on the violation that was written back in September of last year. So he's been notified and he knows everything about the entire process. And basically, I'm aware that the only reason I'm here today is because there were some people that made calls, but our community has been very supportive of it. They just misunderstood our mission in the beginning, I believe. But we've partnered with the community, and they fully support us now in their efforts to change lives and to do what we're doing in the mission that we have.
And I don't think anybody sitting around this table has an issue with your mission. Our issue is that the building that you're in isn't safe.
Correct.
It only has one door, it has one window that in the sleeping area that doesn't meet the egress requirements. You're putting 5 people in a room with no way out, basically.
That's why I'm asking if I would put an additional exit in, that would, I mean, that's something that we could.
Well, and so DMHA, because you're under the Department of Mental Health and Addiction, correct? As a resident, I mean, that's what you have here. That's the paper you gave us.
That's the paper that I gave you. Yes, sir.
So they say you have to be inspected by,
I don't get any certification. If you read there where it says level 1,
at all.
basically that is the steps to open a sober recovery house with.
I understand that, but I'm just.
So this part right here is why I gave it to you. Level 1 residency are primarily peer run, often under the Oxford House model, and they're not offered certification by the state. So I don't get Recovery Works. I don't get any funding from the government whatsoever.
Right, but-
Totally.
When you're housing people, the house you put them in still has to meet the code, and what you have doesn't. And that's,
But it does become a level 1, is that correct?
it doesn't matter what level you are. If you're housing people
So it's
in recovery,
They will.
and you're not related, and it's not a residence, then it has to meet the code, and you don't.
So
All right.
what
So-
you're trying to give us is this level 1, that's why it was asked of.
I'm just,
From
yeah,
them, is saying level 1, that does not pertain to this commission, because we don't see a level 1.
Okay.
We see a house that people, or a residence that people are in, and we need to try to make sure, as you heard me talk about earlier today, as far as life safety goes, we want to make sure that people are afforded every life safety protection that they should be afforded. And try to keep those people safe, because I would be remiss to sign off on something that is not fully compliant to Indiana fire building codes or standards, and then know that something later this week happens and I read about it or I hear about it on CNN that we had
two people that were injured, maimed, or killed in a place that we signed off on.
I think your options are you ask for this blanket variance, which I'm guessing by the temperature in the room is not going to pass. Or you ask for a continuance, you hire a design professional to work with you to try and come up with some trade-offs that become acceptable to this commission that then would allow you to stay in business in this location. Or number three, you find a different location that's in compliance.
I guess my other option is that I'm in the wrong room right now, that basically,
They're go to when you signed the,
yeah, it is.
you signed the agreement with the administrative law judge.
Saying, sir, is that I'm in the wrong room because, what I'm stating is the Discrimination Fair Housing Act, reasonable accommodation. That's what I was here to see if we could work something out. If we can't work it out, then we'll have to go in a different direction, I guess.
I'll ask you again, would you like a continuance to attempt to work with a design professional to come up with something that may be acceptable to this commission, or do you want us to proceed with a vote?
What is acceptable to the commission?
I don't know. That's what you and your design professional have to come up with. What can you offer this commission as a mitigating factor to the fact that this building currently doesn't meet the code? And that could be fire alarm, that could be additional exits, that could be other items. You could run through the chapter 34 scoring and perhaps you're close. I don't know.
Yeah, if I may, I mean, fully support the mission. There are options for you to come with a plan of, adding exits, adding a fire alarm system that I'm sure we can consider it and get you closer to resolution to this without necessarily having to, I can't speak for everybody, but we can make those trade-offs with it. If you get a design professional involved and you come with that plan of here's what we will do in lieu of putting an automatic sprinkler system in, and that's what we're here to consider. So,
So
but I think with that plan, you also need to have timing of, we can do this by this date, we can do this by this date. So the commission understands that you're serious about making those improvements, and then we would hold you to those.
And it's all in the spirit of making sure that not only are the people safe from addiction, but also from the hazards of, building fires.
Yeah. And by the way, I support what Logan's saying, because we do care and we do understand the mission. And I think there are ways of just coming up with what that list is and then presenting that. And it may not be that much, right? And that would be the right approach with us. Absolutely, certainly, to give us the ability to vote on something like this in a positive way. And so I would make the motion to the table, at least give you the time to kind of work through that, right? And then maybe he wants to withdraw it, do a withdrawal and then resubmit, but at least that gives us some options here not to deny.
Have you spoken to the local fire officials as well?
Yeah.
So
To them too.
You out on that violation. Yeah.
Did you say the facility is alarmed right now, fire alarm system?
No, everything is residential.
There's options here.
Yeah, I'll again, speaking for myself, I'm not in an opinion where I wouldn't be on board with some, here's what you do instead of doing the sprinkler system so that we can get this resolved.
Yeah, my objective here, that's why I
Yeah.
said, another exit, something that we can financially afford without a forced shutdown.
But we need a professional, or be it a code consultant or architect or somebody to walk through that and look at it from a professional point. Here's what you need to do.
Yeah, and I think the one piece of information that's hard for us to make a decision right now is we don't have like a floor plan with those.
Yeah.
Here's our plan in lieu of putting in a sprinkler.
Just more information.
In the plan I'm talking about is like a floor plan with the designated accommodations you're gonna do.
Did you, and I'm sorry. Did you change use as well? Go from a class. To a class one?
I didn't see the Rule 13 conversion. I saw in the application that they don't want to be current code of chapter 34. I mean, I think it's under the square footage for Rule 13. And it's not one of the prohibited occupancies for Rule 13, is it? That's A and E, I think is what you can't convert to. This wouldn't be.
So they-
R3.
They know all the numbers.
Wow.
Okay.
R3, but, and I don't think we can do I yet.
So it's all in one of those as well. Okay.
R3,
What would it
R3 is a common variance, because only R1 and R2 were mentioned originally. But this is a business to start with.
Correct. So
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure because
So it needs to change.
Previous use of that building was.
I'd say when I'm looking at it.
That's why I just say you need to get an
It looked like it used to be a house and then it was converted at some point.
The,
Okay.
historically, the building was built and a flower shop was a business in there where the owners lived there. So historically, it was merchant in the front, and where the guys are actually living is where the family lived in the structure, if that makes sense.
And I just want to express that, personally, we appreciate you going about trying to do this the right way instead of flying under the radar. And that it's more work, we get it, but you're doing it the right way. You're being a good example for how to not only help people with addiction,
We're
but,
just so clear that I would fly under the radar if I wouldn't have got.
well,
I mean,
You don't need that on the record.
You did hear that. I mean, somebody, you were applying to the radar until someone came to do an inspection.
Yeah.
I imagine you probably called someone to do an inspection, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I imagine you were flying under the radar. Did you?
No, basically,
Were you told to get an inspection done?
We're just making phone calls that, I mean, there was a lot of confusion in the beginning. Our county commissioner, building commissioner, but didn't know a lot of the codes and didn't know exactly, in our situation, because we're the first one in Al County that's ever been there. So there was a lot of confusion from the gate.
Learning a lot quick,
Yes.
and knowledge is.
with how many properties you guys have, this is a good opportunity to lead the way for
Yeah.
avoiding these kind of situations in the future. So that you can focus on your mission and not coming to listen to us talk.
So it does look like on the back side of the building, you've got some open space, fair amount of open space. I can't speak for everyone else, but if there were a door going out of
Yeah,
that
that's-
story,
It is a door, just needs a stairwell put on.
Well,
so it's not shown on the floor plan that was submitted. There's no.
yes, there's no exit out there. We don't want to put, that's why I was
trying to find it.
suggesting that. We get a building design change. If that is, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe that's what they'll think, but maybe some other.
Because yeah, it's right now, the only way out of the dorm is through that window, which that slider is
There's
not
a
big enough.
basement in that, but we don't occupy that at all. And so there's a stairwell that goes, but we don't occupy that. So our plan was instead of going downstairs, is just to go straight out of the building with a additional exit. That way it's, because like I say, we don't occupy the basement, so.
We're limited on what we can see because we only have
Yeah.
documents submitted
Yeah.
and Google Maps gets blurry if you zoom too far.
Would a consultant help down in that neck of the woods?
That's what we said, the architect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you talk to somebody.
Yeah, I think there's options.
So I just look, for a design specialist, or what'd you say it as, design,
You have professional, or an architect.
yeah, gotcha.
Okay, consultant.
Yeah, we're code, that's my point.
Yeah, somebody in that.
Yeah.
Does the basement only exit out the back?
There's a full garage door, that, is an exit out the basement and then another additional, just regular door that goes out. So that stairwell goes down and goes right out that exit. Yes, sir.
But there's no direct egress in the sleeping rooms.
So there is, like I said, that the window with the ladder that goes to a roadway right there, it's an alley that's along that side of the building. But that's what I was suggesting, to put that other exit out where you just got a staircase that goes right out.
So that is an alley that goes all the way through Church Street.
There's a,
I thought it was just a drive going to the outbuilding behind it.
so there's Main Street, the building sits on Main Street, and south of the building, that's an alley that runs all the way to Church Street.
Okay.
That's where that our second egress is. They're going to that roadway, which is an alley.
Yeah, I agree with Logan. Totally.
I think you can get something and we'll.
You're a good speaker, so.
Appreciate
Does this need to be tabled?
I think that's,
I think that's the right thing. I'll make a motion to table.
Yeah, second.
I think we already have it.
Yeah, we already have.
A motion to-
Yeah.
Okay, great. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Crisp? Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hayden?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Panic?
Yes.
Commissioner Patarino?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Middlestate?
Is that next, next month, Chairman?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next month's meeting will not be on Tuesday because the primary election will be on Thursday.
Okay.
Of that week.
Thank you.
Fire chief, local.
We'll be at the beginning because you're a table.
Yeah, this is.
Very-
Oh, okay.
You'll be earlier in the.
You'll be at the
Okay,
beginning.
I'll be there.
At the beginning, yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
That's 12:30. Take lunch.
Yes.
12:30, we're gonna take a lunch. Everybody here can have lunch.
Good.
That's about 45 minutes from now.
Depends on how busy it is.
1:15. The audience online. We are taking a break for 1:15.
That they're asking.
Is there any?
No, not yet.
That's something I'm pretty passionate about. It's so important.
All right, we're gonna hear 24-330 FedEx Freight, Greenwood.
This one is request to allow above grade tank of 20,000 gallons and move the maximum 12,000. This reason why it's being sent to you. I will say, it looks like in the past 3 or 4 days, we did receive actual comment from the animal code who is not against variance.
Good afternoon, I'm Joe Zuckles, I'm with Meridian Design Build. We're the general contractor, responsible for the project here. So yeah, this is the FedEx Freight Terminal, it's 125 service stores. It's got a vehicle maintenance garage associated with it, and then a fuel island as well. This is it's a private fleet vehicle motor fuel dispensing facility, right? So it's not for the public, it's just for the purpose of their trucking operations. On this particular project, FedEx Freight did request a 20,000 gallon above ground storage tank to meet the demands of their facility. So that's what we set out to design when we sent this project into the state for review. It was the Department of Homeland Security noted that the tank is larger than what IFC International Park Code currently allows. There's a table that was cited 2306.2.3, which basically says that the tank shouldn't exceed 12,000 gallons. So based on that, we've done some research and saw that some other projects and recently have been successful in getting a 20,000 gallon above ground storage tank approved for the facility. And being that that's what was needed for the demands of the tenant, we decided to submit the variance. As was just stated, we did check with the local fire department, Tracy Rumble, Fire Marshal, Greenwood. March 27th, we received an email from him saying that he does not have any concerns for the variance and he's not going to be opposing. You should have a copy of that email. And if you don't, I have a copy if you'd like to see it. I guess just some things to know about the tank itself. This is a horizontal above ground storage tank, 20,000 gallons. It does have the UL 2085 listing on it, which means it's a double wall tank that has secondary containment, 2-hour fire rated. It's also has testing that's been done for ballistic and impact protection. We will have leak detection on the tank, automatic leak detection via sensors. That's in the interstitial space. If there is a leak detected either in that interstitial space or in the piping, an alarm would be going off both at the tank location and at the control panel, which is located in the vehicle maintenance garage, which is occupied during the business day. From an environmental standpoint, FedEx prefers the above ground storage tank for many reasons. You can easily detect and locate any leaks, and you can easily provide preventive maintenance and fix any potential leaks that may come up, as opposed to, if this were to be in the ground. So, regardless of the size, I think it was preferred that it be above ground. However, given the constraints for this particular project and the limitations that we have to meet the layout for the site that FedEx requires, we had to go with one single 20,000 gallon tank on this as opposed to multiple tanks. They just don't have enough room to go with multiple horizontal above ground storage tanks. The site, has been designed to accommodate the fuel island with some special provisions for that. Obviously, the tank has the secondary containment, so a dike wouldn't be required for it. All the storm sewer catch basins that collect runoff from the fuel island area all have flow guard catch basin inserts in them, which basically captures at least any runoff or small spills from the fuel island area. From that point on, there's the aqua swirl water quality devices. That's a secondary treatment device as well. Utilizes hydrodynamic separation to remove the sediment, debris, any free flowing oils from the runoff as well. And then a vacuum truck would actually be used to clean that out. That needs to be cleaned out. And then the detention pond as well. The spill at the fuel island, wherever to make it to the detention pond area. The outlet for the pond could be blocked to prevent the spill from entering the downstream waterway. So once the spill would be contained, the pond could be cleaned up and remediated as needed.
How often is FedEx projecting to have to refill this tank? How often are they scheduling deliveries to?
I don't know. I don't know the information.
I mean, how long 20,000 gallon cans?
This is, again, it's a private facility, has no public access to it. It's a secure site. It's got security fencing around the entire site. There's a guard shack with a security guard that mans the guard who's there. There's, as far as the location of it on the site, it's located more than 260 feet from any property line. So it's well within the interior of the site. It's in a spot currently where it's relatively protected from the vehicular trespass. It's sandwiched between the vehicle maintenance garage and the fuel island. So it's out of immediate path of any of the truck traffic that occurs on the truck yard. It's got bollards, around it on all sides to protect it. Basically the same thing we would do for a 12,000 gallon tank, we're doing for a 20,000 gallon tank here. So, that said, I mean, that's we're asking the commission to, accept a variance to accept the 20,000 gallon underground tank. Also, noting that the local fire official any concerns.
Motion to approve?
Second.
First and second.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Grayson? Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Commissioner Height?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Panicky?
Yes.
Commissioner Palladino?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
No.
Commissioner Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
No.
The yeses still have it.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Right here. Let's do. Except 2403 project Wilson Avon.
This request is to use a top loading automated storage and retrieval. This is something we hadn't seen requested before, so this is the reason why we sent it to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is MP. I'm a registered fire protection engineer in the state of Indiana. I am representing today multiple parties. First one being the tenant of the facility, which is Sephora. The owner of the facility is Van Trust. They could not be here, but they did submit a letter of agreement with it as part of the application. As well, we have the architect of record, McGregor, and another one of my associates for fire protection. The purpose of alternative means request is to gain acceptance for our proposed sprinkler protection for that automated storage and retrieval system, or ASRS. The reference standards in the state of Indiana do not reference ASRS, and this particular configuration is a top loading ASRS, also known as an auto store system. That's the one where if you reference page 3 of the report, you can see the top of that system. Bots move back and forth across the top and retrieve totes, vertically stacked totes inside the system. NFPA standards do not reference it. Frankly, even the most current version of the NFPA standards do not reference it. So our variance request is twofold. Is first to seek approval for prescriptive fire suppression schemes following FM Global Data Sheet 8-9, which is for the protection of automated storage and retrieval systems. And the second is to grant our use of an engineering judgment as described in this report, where the tenant is hoping to store small, low pile quantities of individually packaged flammable liquids, perfume, in segregated, defined areas of the auto store. And we have defined protection as per data sheet 729 from FM Global, which is the protection of ignitable liquids in portable containers. Following application standards per section 675 IAC 12611, referencing FM Global standards. Just a little bit of flavor on top is the engineering judgment that we're providing for the use of flammable liquids in small quantities within the ASRS, which 8-9 does not address and 729 does not address either. So I can go through it, but on top of the sprinkler protection, which we can talk about, I'd also like to note that we are proposing additional life safety measures for this area. I know ASRS has been approved in neighboring jurisdictions, Plainfield, Whitestown, of this particular variety. Ours is a little bit different because one, we're storing the low pile quantities of flammable liquids, and two, there are pick stations for workers within the ASRS itself. Due to that, we're proposing installing two separate things. One, a very early warning smoke detection system down the underside of the mezzanine above the ASRS, so a VESDA system to get any sort of incipient fire, and then also providing a non-required horn strobe system within the ASRS to alert pick stations. So the intent is to, if there is a fire, they will be alerted to any sort of this situation well in advance of a sprinkler going off and egress from it. And then the sprinkler system is designed to sorry, I keep saying, thank you. I keep saying 8-9, it's 834. So whenever I say 8-9, 834. And then the intent of the sprinkler system is to suppress or extinguish the fire. And I'll reference that here in a second. So the warehouse is approximately 750,000 square feet, storage and distribution center. It's actually very similar to other rolled out in other portions of the country. Most recently, we did it one in Las Vegas in a similar configuration. The warehouse overall have high pile storage of class 1 through 4, current unexpanded plastics, and various hazardous classifications for aerosols and flammable. There will be an aerosols room. There will be an H3 room for the higher volume. We're not asking about those. Those are for per code for the areas that exceed the MAQ. Any sort of flammable liquid will be within the MAQ for the warehouse. So we will not exceed the MAQ for a control area within the ASRS. The warehouse will be equipped throughout with an ESFR sprinkler system designed to FM Global standards. That's the 8-9. As enforced by the tenant's insurer, except where specific NRACs required for the hazardous material in the aerosol rooms. And as mentioned, the warehouse itself, as part of this, we're treating it on one of the 4 permitted control areas in the building. So page 4, you can see more of a rendering of the ASRS, as well as the figure 3. You can also see a maintenance access corridor as well as the pick station. Then moving to page 5, figure 4, we have a bigger drawing if the committee would like to reference it, but talking about the egress pathways, the top image just evaluates the egress from the areas where occupancy is anticipated and planned for. I'm going to come back to figure 5 on that. That's our planned area storage for flammable liquids. I have to note the liquids are water miscible as well. The ASRS, the auto store system will be less than 20 feet tall. Top of storage approximately 17 feet in actuality for the entirety of the stack. And there's a mezzanine being installed above, structurally independent mezzanine with a deck not to exceed 25 feet. It's like 24, 10 or something like that for the final configuration. The general purpose of the pick station is just to have short-term processing and turnover. So that's the materials loaded in there. It's moved to pick stations. It's packaged and packaged for redistribution to other locations, kind of an end user distribution. In general, the majority of the ASRS will be storing that uncartoned plastic application, non-expanded, or other cosmetics not classified as flammable combustible liquids within the majority of the ASRS. Particular part of this variance is geared towards the storage of small volume flammable liquids in individual packaging in those dedicated areas. So we're going to be following 834 for the protection of the majority of it. There is a scheme in there based on the height of our mezzanine and height of the auto store. In table 44 for final extinguishment. It's important to note that FM chose word extinguishment and not suppression. They're testing for this level of auto store, which has been selected by the client and us in consultation. There are schemes available with appropriate water supply that FM considers them extinguishment level. We know there's always going to be, fire department activity for pull down and clean out, but this is designed to provide adequate pressure, not just to suppress, but to extinguish. So that's for most of the area. If you refer to figure 5, there are specific areas the tenant is hoping to, we're looking to store individually packaged, small volume, generally 8 ounces, I think upwards of 12 or 16 ounces in some locations of water immiscible. Those areas are above certain passageways, whether they be maintenance or worker passageways. The height of the storage, if you switch to figure 6, you also see part of that too. The height of the storage in this area is in general 2 bin boxes high, 2 foot 2 inches. There will be the potential for up to 3 bin boxes in their various areas because the machine has to come and pull a box out, put it over here, pull another box out and stack it. But then the overall operational intent is for too high. So if this was on the ground, I'd consider it low pile storage.
So each of those bins are 3 3s, all right?
No, each one of the bins is 1 1.
Okay, so the total 3.
Yeah, total
bins
3.
would be 3 3.
Yeah, 2 bins high, 2 foot 2, with a maximum structural ability of 3 foot 3 pick. The top level is always left open for that pick. Looking on that, kind of to summarize a little bit of the report, we did a hazard assessment of the bins and the storage in there. We applied the learnings from FM 7-29 for ignitable liquids as that's the only standard that opines on that. We took in this point, knowing the non-common configuration and non-tested configuration, although I think we're definitely within the realms of engineering judgment, that instead of, this is a 5 foot high storage or less, but we're applying sprinkler protection for a 12 foot high storage under a 30 foot ceiling. So we are increasing the density and volume of the ESFR system. That will actually drive the ESFR system requirements for the integrity of the ASRS. In the analysis, we came to 834 and it's 9 K17s at 35 pounds, and we're proposing to meet what FM 729 says, which is 12 K17 ESFR sprinkler heads. That is adequate for 729 for the protection of wrapped or palletized storage of larger volume, water miscible, flammable liquids, stacked up to 12 feet high under a 30-foot ceiling. And we are proposing open bin boxes stacked 2 or 3 high, protected by a system no more than 7 feet away from the top of storage. In addition to that, the design of those water miscible storage areas, which, side note, I will note that it's not always going to be water miscible. There may be an intersperse of ignitable liquid in there, just general products. It's just in the inventory management system, only water miscible ignitable liquids can be stored in that area. So we envision a hazard of a maximum, I think we say, of like 1.6 gallons or 1.3 gallons might be the most, but in actuality, it's going to be less based on the segregation and the processes. As part of this proposal, we're proposing to install segregation to those water miscible liquid areas, consisting of 20 gauge sheet metal used vertically all around those areas seen in figure 5. Yeah, figure 5. And a horizontal area above all areas, both they be, whether they be the pick areas or the maintenance areas of an engineered board with a Class A fire retardant applied to it. So we're trying to basically segregate the barriers, to segregate the water miscible ignitable liquid area as seen in figure 9 to compartmentalize any sort of spill or fire effect in that location. The water supply is not limited. We've done analysis with Citizens Water. They only promise us a certain amount as I've come to experience with Citizens Water, but doing an analysis, there's millions of gallons interconnected, and we do not need to have a water storage tank. So we're fixed to municipal water. The fire suppression will be driven by a diesel fire pump with a FDC connection for backup. All right. Final note, we have reviewed this with Sephora's insurer as well, who enforces FM global standards, and they found it adequate for protection, no additional requirements. So we feel the sprinkler system as analyzed with some of following the requirements of 834, as well with our engineering judgment referencing 729, we feel it's adequate for the protection of, to provide adequate protection for the planned commodities within the ASRS. Will provide a level of life safety, fire and life safety that meets or exceeds the recommendations in the reference status sheets.
So I'll let everyone else speak, but my initial concern is pretty simple in that when I hear an application for a variance, I look at the totality of circumstances, and one of those items is, where's the structure going to be located? All I've got is undisclosed location.
I can update you on that if we can do that now.
That'd be great, because that's, I mean, if it's surrounded in an industrial park, that's one thing. If it's in the middle of a neighborhood, that's different.
Yeah, the reason is undisclosed because we submitted this variance in lieu of a site being selected. They had 3 sites, we finally grabbed one, so I don't want to submit these formally necessarily because these are not 60% design, something like that. So this isn't Avon Landing, so there's already one warehouse going in right there, Avon Logistics 1 or something like that, and this will be warehouse 2. So this is planned for the city of Avon to be an industrial park.
At the interstate.
It's 136, and this is where we at Ronald Reagan Parkway.
Oh, okay.
North-south here. So it's currently farm fields. And we serving the airport, like the adjacent. So that is, I believe, it's all owned by. And that is planned to be at least a 3 or 4 building warehouse site.
been working on this.
Yeah, we're kind of actually extended. right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Exactly.
No, you're fine. I just, like I said, it's one of the factors that I weigh in my mind.
Yeah, it will be an industrial park. It's now farm field, but it will be. You're west of the road. Yes, immediately west of the road. Please.
I mean, Ronald Reagan, I used to move along semis, a lot of trucks, a lot of traffic goes through there.
I'm not in the business of that, but it seems like a good spot where they're gonna get. The building is planned to be type 2B construction. I think I mentioned the egress is, we've done an egress study. All points are accessible per prescriptive code. So there are doors added to make sure we can hit that.
She's in there discussion. So address the value as sure address too.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, the main concern is, okay, you're asking us to grant a variance to something somewhere in the town of Avon.
In Indiana. And we haven't defined address now. It's just due to the staging factors we had to submit before we had the legal address ready. And we did discuss this with Chief Carpenter as well. I don't know if he's submitted something. He did indicate he got it, but he did not. Just did not indicate anything.
So you switched David Carpenter?
No,
And David. Yeah.
Dave's with IFD. This would be Avon.
Levi Carpenter, we spoke, we had a sit down meeting, we ran through the scheme. He didn't have any trouble with it, but he demurred saying he can't make a decision.
Say that one more time, that he could not make a decision?
He didn't go to this board.
Okay.
DHS.
He's deferring it to DHS.
Yeah, he can say I like it all I want, but he doesn't get. We also actually ran through this. That selection table. Had no trouble with it.
There's road. More and more.
Any questions?
Do you guys meet all aspects of the international fire code?
The order.
Yeah. Right. Yes, he was asking if you meet
Mr. Porter,
fire code. He's one of the other commissioners.
Yes, I mean, aside from this not meeting NFPA, we'll have the proper aerial access, we'll have the proper 360 site access. We're going to be meeting the hazardous material provisions, chapter 3, 414 going on. So everything will be built to prescriptive code. Minus this, which doesn't have prescriptive code.
And I'm sorry, how large was this area?
This building is about 750,000 square feet. Yeah, and the ASRS there.
That's what I was wondering, that portion of it.
Yeah.
And the retrieval says
Much smaller. Gospel, this was the rest of the way, mostly conveyance. It's about that. And you know the size of the what's around 50,000 square feet approximately.
I'll make a motion to approve.
First and second. Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Chris. Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Height, Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Panicky,
Yes.
Commissioner Palladino,
Yes.
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 Appreciate that.
Great information.
I think I did that.
Next up, we have 240332 Hobbs Station multifamily plan.
All right, this variance is about operable windows and exterior wall less than 3 feet from exhaust outlets and dryer vents. The reason why we sent this to you is that, although we've seen a few of these over the past few years, all of them have been before the commission, and I think this is the first time this new commission will be looking at this.
Look, Craig Von Dalen we should talk about these.
Who's that?
Craig Von Dalen. Yeah.
Yeah, I never probably have we came up during that time. And RentSync RTM Consultants. So the project involves multifamily residential, 5 stories in height, with type 1A podium and 4 stories of 5A on top. The issue does involve the distance of the exhaust outlets to operable windows. I need to make a couple of corrections here, and I sent in an email that was included to clarify my statement of fact in item 1. So the vents and exhaust openings are a minimum of 2 feet from fixed sashes and a minimum of 2 feet 6 inches from the operable sash. So we were correct in what we said about the fact that we're less than 3 feet. I just needed to clarify we're a minimum of 2 feet 6 inches. And then also on the drawing, for some reason, I put 2 feet or less from window. It should say 2 feet or more from window. So it's 2 feet again from the fixed sash, but from the operable. So it's 2 feet 6 inches. So talking about a 6-inch difference here. There have been 15 other variances approved that at least I'm aware of on this issue. Generally speaking, they've been for where there's at least 2 feet or more. The issue is an odor transmission issue. It's not fire related. We don't have any requirements for that based on the sprinkler system. And I've had a typo there. That should be an NFPA 13 sprinkler system throughout. This issue involves, and I have listening in Alex Marsh, the design professional director, which I'll ask him to speak a little more about why we're here. But I'll make a brief comment. In the statement of hardship, I referred to the fact that about the truss locations and so forth, and it's really comes down to more of an issue of, and it is that, but it's has to do with the fact that the truss design is a delegated design, as it typically is these days on any multifamily project. And so it's the difference between what is in the original design versus what we end up with once the trusses get placed in. And also the panelized wall systems also have, because where they put some of the studs in there, it changes up things a little bit. So that's primarily the reason we're here, and why this, I think, is somewhat typical problem in terms of meeting the 3-foot rule. So with that, and again, this is an odor transmission issue, not a fire-related issue. And I've also stated in here that that windows are typically closed vast majority of the time. We don't think the 6 inches makes a difference in terms of code intent. And with that, I'll ask Alex to give you a little better explanation of.
We do have one question right off the bat, and perhaps Alex can answer it, but the windows that are 2 feet 6 inches from the exhaust, Are those the exhaust for the unit where the person is operating the window, or is it somebody else's?
I believe it's from the unit below where it's within 2 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
The ones above, I think, are for that particular unit, but I'll let Alex confirm that because I had the same question.
Good afternoon,
Alex.
folks. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you all for your time and hearing this petition. To speak on that, yes, it is typical for the routing of those exhaust vents to go up into the ceiling of that unit. Hence then really dealing with the units above as far as where the operable portion of those windows are. I think Ed summarized our thoughts pretty well here, but to add to them, we as designers are able in most cases to specify what that type of wall construction is, say 2x6 with 16-inch on center studs. But with the panelizing and procedural issues and sequencing in the field, obviously then that gets kicked to a panel designer. They oftentimes overpack those corners and certain stud intersection locations in order to make construction in the field a little easier and quicker. Access studs are obviously not then removed in order to provide routing for the separate trade who's installing the ductwork. So similar issues with the floor trusses above. I unfortunately don't, as the architect, have control over where every single cord in that floor truss goes, though we try to limit that as much as possible. So in order to keep a linear and efficient connection to the exterior, oftentimes that route is limited by adjacent truss internal cord members. So with that, I'd turn that back over to Ed or to the commission for questions. Thank you.
What is spec? Are they gas appliances, electric appliances? What are we talking?
These are all electric appliances.
Okay, thank you.
There's no gas involved. In fact, we'll get.
Are all these on outside of courtyards? Or are any of these within a courtyard?
These would be applied to courtyard units as well. Our courtyard dimensions are pretty generous with over, I don't have those quite in front of me, but they're very, very large courtyards.
Probably at least 40 feet across, 30 or 40, isn't it, Alex?
I believe the minimum dimension is closer to 80.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a large project.
Pardon me?
It is pretty typical. It happens. There's not a lot of control. Yeah, if it was closer than 2 feet, be a problem.
Right. That's been the position of the commission in the past, so. Yeah, sounds like something you could design exactly at the beginning, but it's very hard to do that when you coordinate the delegated design for the trusses and plus the panelized wall systems.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind making a motion to approve.
I'd second.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Height, Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Panicky,
Yes.
Commissioner Catarino,
Yes.
Vice Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, folks.
We have 240333 Sky Jump LLC Greenwood.
All right, this involves a temporary bounce park that will be set up from April 26th through July of 24th of this year. The reason why we sent this to you is because we have never seen requests like this come through.
We're
We're a new business. We're requesting a variance to 2012 Indiana Fire Code 3103.5, use period, to delete 30 and insert 90. We have a lease for 90 days with Simon Property Group at Greenwood Park Mall, and we're only open Friday afternoons and Saturday and Sundays when the kids are out of school.
Have it on the door.
Said the magic word.
He's for students.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about your plan here?
It's a 25,000 square foot bounce park with a temporary fence that goes in a shopping center parking lot. And we partner with Simon Property Group a lot as a company. We've been in business for about 5 years and across states all over the US.
Is any part of this structures or any part of these temporary bounce structures enclosed, or is it all open air?
It's all open air.
So you can't like go into one and be surrounded by not that you can get out 360 degrees from off of these structures.
The main park is constructed out of 6 large pieces that get laced and Velcroed together. And then each one of those 6 sections has its own individual emergency exit with emergency exit stairs that has a Velcro door with mesh.
Does one of your documents detail that?
In the submitted layout, if you look on the main section of the park, you can actually see the blower tubes, and then the little green nubs that stick out of each section are the emergency exit stairs. They're not specifically labeled, but they are shown in the picture. So do you have that document in front of you? I guess I
Can
should
you
ask.
can you be more specific on what the file name is?
The Greenwood Park layout. Version 1.1. And the fenced in park has 4 exits. The exterior, the 6-foot perimeter fence has exits as well.
Does somebody see which one that is?
No,
It looks something like this.
Oh, okay. It's the JPEG. Well, I think which one you're showing is the JPEG that says Funbox Greenwood Park Mall Site Plan 2.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so re-explain
Sure.
what I'm looking at here.
I can actually, if you have that document up, I can walk you through what the park looks like.
Yep.
If you look at the bottom corner coming off of Greenwood Park East Drive, and you'll see that double gate, that's actually our welcome tent, which is also our main entrance. And then you'll see the little dashes that run parallel to the perimeter fence. That's actually the queue line to come into the welcome tent. And between that island, we have barricades that we pedestrianize that entrance. So as families gather and grandparents wait, they're not bothered with car traffic. So then as you go in, there's some auxiliary inflatables like a shoe tent, a seating tent, a concession, and then that main piece that is 6 different colors is the main park. that U-shaped snaky looking thing, for lack of better terms, is an obstacle course. And it's not labeled, but at the top of each one of the U's, there's also an emergency exit on that piece as well. So there's 3 exits on that. And of course, the entrance and exits are wide open on that obstacle course. In that green shading that you see between the park, the perimeter fence, that's actually turf. It's what sets our experience above everybody else. We actually turf the pavement, and so the kids and families can run around in their socks throughout the entire park.
Can you tell us more about your weather safety plan?
Rain is our mortal enemy. So in rain, we shut down, which is part.
So there appears to be like a semi-trailer and then another vehicle trailer maybe on the top of the plan that are inside of the fence. Why are those inside of the fence? They need to be there?
You might have lost them. Their screen froze.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
My name's Chris Thomas. I'm part of this as well, and I'm on my computer where they're on, I think, their phone. Yeah, the semi trailer and the semi truck and the trailer just house like equipment for restocks and things like that throughout the campaign. So we typically put them inside the fence line just because we obviously lock that when we're not operating to be able to lock the fence line down. Obviously, you can consider moving it outside the fence if the commission so deems. But that's what everything essentially gets stored in and moved, because this is a temporary operation, and so we have backup things inside those items in order to, if something goes down or what have you.
I'm not as concerned about the trailer itself because there's no fuel load in the trailer, but the actual semi, I prefer that be outside of the fence if possible.
Okay. Yeah, we have no issues with that, and that would be ideal because the trailer is what we also kind of use for the staff to have breaks. They kind of come around outside the trailer and things like that. So, but the semi, we're happy to move outside the fence line.
And each night you're gonna turn off the blowers and it's gonna deflate.
Exactly. Once the last set and everybody is obviously exited, we break from the.
Hey, Aaron, can you guys mute while Chris is talking? Okay. Chris, can you say that again?
Yeah, so once the last session takes place and everybody is exited, we then, at the end of the day, we'll deflate, we'll turn the generator off, the blowers get turned off, and the park deflates.
Where's the generator located?
In this, it sits to the back corner of the main park, out of line of sight.
I see.
How is this all anchored?
We use earth anchors, which are a 1-inch diameter. They actually get pre-drilled through the blacktop using a hammer drilled and then impacted in. They're 11 inches long. they're a little bit, a step above like a 10 anchor that they would just hammer in. These actually have a lot more, pull-out strength.
Yeah. And which ones are you using? Or just does it depend on the?
Earth anchors, PE 10s, 10
Okay,
inch
PE 10.
traders, they're actually 11.
Okay, yeah, because you have PE 10s, you have 18s and 26s, and I didn't know if you use particular anchors for particular inflatables, or if they're all the same.
We use the standard 11 inches in blacktop. Would be a soil class level 1.
Do you know what kind of soil you have underneath the blacktop? Have you done any testing?
It's just based off the hard pan asphalt
Okay.
base because it's only 11 inches.
Okay.
If it were just soil, we would assume class 3 or lower.
Okay.
You know, what kind of, I mean, how's the fence anchor? Is the fence drilled in and anchored through, or is it?
We will, we'll put up posts about every 2 to 3 panels. It'll be anchored in, and then in between the posts, it'll be the traditional base with a sandbag. Sometimes you don't even need the sandbag because of the posts that get put in.
Wait, say that again? So
It'll be a mixture of posts and just the standard bases.
okay. And how tall?
6 feet.
And then the generator will be locked out somehow so that adolescents that come out of the mall at 7 p.m. Can't access this area and
Yeah, it's behind our perimeter fence under lock. There is a 12-foot gate right by that generator for access for fueling purposes and service purposes.
Make sure it's grounded.
And how often do you guys inspect everything? 'Cause I know it just says inspected regular time.
The park gets inspected every morning on startup. A maintenance staff will leaf blow the park, check the park for rips, tears, a Band-Aid. You know, the missing sock.
All the items in the operation and installation manual will be adhered to.
Yes.
So you're looking to operate May 3rd to July 21st. Is this something that you anticipate if business is good, you're going to want to extend, or, you know, is this
No.
Obligated some other location on, after that?
Yes, we have a signed lease with Castleton Square Mall a few weeks later. So I guess that was my next question. Do we have to go through this process again? Okay.
Yeah, different location. Yes, same ownership group, same city of it. Well, this one's agreed with, the other one's in Indianapolis, but yeah, it'd be a different variance, different location.
Okay. And we are extending past the 30 days to compensate, like I said, that rain. If we have rain, then we shut down. So on a shorter campaign, if we got rain on 2 weekends, it would be a pretty bad situation.
So I think the one stipulation was moving the fuel load from the truck outside somewhere?
Yeah, I don't mind if the trailer stays inside of the fence line, but the tractor, the actual vehicle, I prefer
Oh,
to have.
the tractor
outside.
won't, the tractor, we contract that and he will drop that there and the actual truck will not be there.
We're good with the fuel load and the generator within this. And, assuming that there's like.
Yeah, I mean,
What requirements of like having like a fire extinguisher nearby and all that stuff?
We keep a fire extinguisher at the generator and then each one of the spider box locations. How the generator works is it feeds power supply panels. Then the power supply panels go to spider boxes that the actual implements plug into. At each one of those spider boxes, we place a fire extinguisher as well.
And all that is not accessible to kids running around?
Correct. That is all behind. If you look at that green, we're at an angle, but the front of the park is green. That's all turf. And then there's barricades. So guests cannot access that back area and all that. Any cable, blower, fire extinguisher, spider box is located behind those barricades.
What if somebody's jumping around in the blue area and how easy is it for a kid to get lost in there and go through one of the fire exits into the non-green area?
It's pretty obvious. We'll have, depending on the ticket sales, we have attendants throughout the park that stay in each station, and blue is one of the stations that we have. And the Velcro is probably about 4 inches wide on those emergency exits. So when that peels, it's an obvious sound, and that everybody looks when they hear that.
Okay.
So that's that. The barricades aren't connected. There's gaps between the barricades. So if the emergency exits do get used, there are gaps right there.
What is the capacity of the generator gas fuel tank?
That's a good question. I'm going to say 250 to 300 gallons.
Okay.
I'm picturing one of the trailer mounted generators from like Sunbelt or something like that.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
what it is. That's what it is.
okay?
Pretty standard.
Okay.
And they're so updated now, if the doors open, they won't even run. The safeties on those.
Interlocks you.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Does the state thing of veterans, right? As an amusement, like a carnival type thing?
No, it would not be, we would essentially approach it as like a temporary structure. A conveying membrane structure that kind of anchoring inspections and whatnot, but as far as the CDR or any other type of amusement permits being required, it's a no. Yeah, this would be, you want to check with your local.
Well, it says that Kenneth Seals agreed to grant them a permit for 90 days once the variance is approved.
So the LBO did provide a copy.
Yeah, it's on the building official.
Yeah.
Hope that he goes and text that, text her now. Honestly, respect on a regular basis, I guess.
Yeah, I'm comfortable making a motion to approve with the timeframe listed in the application, so long as the vehicle portion of the semi is parked outside of the fence line.
Yeah. Second. Hold on. Got a first and second?
Go outside.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Panorino?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Motion passes. You're approved.
Thank you, gentlemen. We look forward to seeing you at the park.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for the casket to
Too easy now. Okay, moving on.
All right, next up, we have 240334 PepsiCo Frito-Lay Pizza Tank Project, Frankfurt. All right, this one is just this request is to install two 15,000 gallon diesel tanks. The reason why we sent this to you is one, they are close together, but also looking at the plan they provided, it looks like it's pretty close to either the building or the overhang that is.
Is there anyone online for Frito-Lay?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Making my way back from Utah here and at the airport, so I apologize if there's any inconvenience here. But yes, we're requesting the variance to install two 15,000 gallon diesel tanks, one being biodiesel, one standard diesel. These are part of PepsiCo and Frito-Lay's biodiesel projects here, and they're a direct replacement to two 15,000 gallon underground storage tanks that were removed last year. And actually the proposed footprint of the new tank pad will be in the area of where the USTs were removed. The reason for the variance is that the Indiana Fire Code Table 2306.2.3 allows for a single 12,000 gallon tank installation or a 48,000 gallon aggregate. And we are requesting 15,000 gallons to adequately serve the delivery truck needs of Frito-Lay. The separation distance for, and these are fire guard tanks, which is pretty similar to a variance request you had earlier today. These are fire guard tanks that come with not only a 2-hour fire rating, but they also come with a ballistic rating. And the separation distance by that table currently for a 12,000 gallon tank is 15 feet from the building. And the building in this instance is the maintenance shop that is manned. This building is manned 24 hours a day. There is no unmanned fueling. And the separation current minimum distance that we propose is 40 foot from that maintenance shop, which is more than double than the current for granted a 12,000 gallon tank. The overhang that is in reference that I heard brought up, that is an existing fuel dispensing area. That's where the fuel islands are located there. And so that was what that overhang area that was mentioned is. These tanks will be continually monitored by automatic tank gauging system, which will monitor underground piping. It will monitor all the fills that happen in the tank refill area. The engineered tank pad will be surrounded as required by code by 6-inch concrete filled concrete bollards. There is an oil water separator in the project, that existing oil water separator, to also aid in capturing any spills that may happen. The automatic tank gauge will also have audible and visual overfill alerts, not only at the tank fill area, but also inside where the personnel are located. And so we are requesting this variance here to be able to adequately service the needs of their delivery trucks.
How often do they go through 15,000 gallons of fuel?
Well, this is a little bit different here because one of these, their previous USTs 30,000s that they had were all standard diesel. Now they are moving into renewable fuels as well. And so the standard diesel capacity is being reduced to 15,000 and the bio is coming up to 15,000. And so I believe it's about every 2.5 days that they're going to be refueling those tanks. And so by having this capacity on there, it keeps the area free from congestion on a continual basis with an active transportation site.
Have you presented this to the local fire department?
Yes, we talked to, well, they were in between people at the time. We've contacted them. We contacted the local building official and alerted them the project was on the board. They did not have any verbal objection to us on the project, but we've got no confirmation. Again, there was a little confusion on where this would go at Frankfurt's fire department or who it would go to.
It doesn't look like the project's been submitted to plan review either.
It has not. We were advised to get the variance request approved first, kind of as a so we don't come to a stop in the middle of the project planning here. And so we wanted to obtain the variance, and then you know, once approved, we will file for the CDR for flammable and combustible material storage.
Make a motion to approve. Second. Yes.
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 Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Yes.
15.
Next up, we have 240335.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The farm multifamily building, A and garage signs.
All right, this has four. First one, it has to do with the top plate. The request is to have a gap provided with fire blocking. B has to do with the request of a 2-inch void width at the ceiling level within the wall cavity of the bird out plumbing walls for the bathtub units. C, this to allow 7 feet for the first floor under the stair and move 7 feet 6 inches. And D, this request to allow a single 2x4 top plate plus either a 1/2 inch wood structural panel or 1x4. All four of these we've not seen before. At least together.
And Red Sync RTM Consultants. So I'm the reason Josh has had to be here all day.
This month's lunch.
These four variances, I believe, I'll let Josh speak for their position officially, but I had told you the last time we were here, we had some more coming. So I think this cleans up at least the rough framing issues that on building A, and we've got a couple of follow-up ones on the same issues on 2 of them on buildings B and C. So this is, let's see, I should tell you first, please ignore the first 2 attachments because I've updated those 2. So for example, for the first variance, you can look at exhibits, the 3rd and the 4th exhibits apply to that. So this issue addresses 2 different conditions. Same issue where the intersection of the 1-hour floor ceiling assembly, in one case with balloon framed interior walls, there's a case where you've got a non-bearing wall that extends up through the cavity. we don't have the, there's a gap there. There's a gap, in between the framing and the wall, the 1 hour, the balloon framed interior wall. The second condition is a gap, where the firewall, and in that case, it's about 3/4 of an inch. For the balloon frame condition, it varies from 1/8 inch to 1/2 inch. So we've got a couple of schemes that we worked up that are engineering judgments that we've stamped to solve those issues. We reviewed them on site with the Zionsville inspectors. So maybe I'll just go through all 4 of them here in succession, if that's okay. It might be save time, and then, but we did review all of these. And then the second issue is the tub wall penetration. If this looks familiar, it's because we had this one prior, but we didn't address a condition where ideally you have a full top plate, which is actually what we're doing on buildings B and C and changing those out. So we've got a 2x6 top plate that's continuous, that where we can meet the double top plate exception in the code. We don't meet it here because there's a 2-inch gap at the 2x4 top plate. And the anomaly, the additional anomaly in this case is where the pipe, the vent pipe that goes up through this space is not entirely within that wall cavity. It veers over into that 2-inch cavity, so we're in kind of a no man's land there. So we had to come up again with an engineering judgment, and we went with this one. We spent quite a bit of time on, and I think we got it right, where we used a collar, and I think we got collared all the way around the pipe on almost all of them. There's a few of them that didn't get it, but anyway, we created the engineering judgment, a scheme there again to address that issue. So it's an anomaly that ended up being more anomalous than we thought at the beginning. So that's the second one. The third variant C is for a condition that would be the 6th exhibit that you have. It's called name, stair details, and shop drawings. There's a small area. It's approximately, I don't know, 5 by 5, I think, that occurs under the bottom landing of the stair. It's within the stair enclosure, but it's under the bottommost intermediate landing, where we've got 7 feet of clearance vertically instead of the 7'6". We had inquired about this at one time on another project, thinking, well, is it part of the stairway or not? And the building commissioner had determined, well, no, it's not technically part of the stairway because it occurs not on a landing or under the run of the stair, and therefore it should be 7'6". So we did have one prior variance approved for that condition on another project, which I think was less than 7 feet in that case. But anyway, we've got 7 feet of clearance. So that's the third one. The fourth variance is for the condition where in the 2-story units on the south end of building A, the top story, they had a problem with, as I understand it, where the concrete was poured, and they had cut some height out. And so what happened is that on the top story of those units, we've got a single top plate and either half-inch structural panel or a 1x4 on top of the 2x4. So we don't have a full 2x condition there. Otherwise, we're doing everything else that's required in terms of fire stopping all the penetrations in that. And we're just making the case we don't think it's adverse based on not having the full double top plate. So those are the 4 variances.
Is this the same, right? We've been talking about this project before.
Kicking us.
It's,
We've had some prior variances on this, yes.
personally, it seems so, it's a very odd situation to me because of course we build this all the time. I don't remember the last time I had to go in for a variance on the framing like this. And I know this is at least the second time we've gone through all these discussions. I'm just curious, are we approving variances? It just feels like, what's going on with the construction? Why are these things happening? Is this a design issue, engineer issue, construction issue?
I think I can.
Because I expect you to come back next month with more.
I don't, so I hope not anyway. But in terms of the design, I think that it's one of those issues where the design, for example, the tub wall condition, it didn't specify anything exactly. The drawings just indicate that you do it, the drywall all the way through, and then you have the double top plates for all the interior walls. Well, this was a furred out space, and what should have happened is a full 2x6 top plate. Now we're doing that on buildings B and C.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, but this is what it is on building A. We're well into the drywall phase of it, so we're just doing the best we can with it. And then there were the pipes didn't align exactly the way they should on the drawings. So I would say that it's a combination of where the design doesn't specifically address the condition. And then you get in the field, things aren't exactly where they should have been in terms of aligning vertically. So
very good excuses for the decided contractors. And
it's not an excuse. I'm just explaining the sequence there's no excuse. It is a mistake. I'm not coming in and saying the mistake.
Yeah, we've been talking about earlier this morning about our safety issues. And it just, I do this every day. This is what I do, right? This is my business in multifamily, in all wood construction. And it's just a very odd situation. I've built in Zionsville before, right? It just feels very odd to me. And I just want to be careful that if we're approving variances, that we're not coming back next month and the month after that because we've got construction issues that we're getting variances to cover.
No, it's a good question.
Yeah.
And because we don't have this happen all the time, although we do.
We don't. I
normally show up. I'd say more often it's in the city of Indianapolis where the inspectors are astute and pick up things. I said this last month. I think that the Zionsville inspections are about the best that we've run into. And I've worked in Zionsville.
Yes, they're very good.
And they're better now than they were back when I worked on the REO apartments because.
Thank you. Okay, don't need to mention projects, but I remember that, and I remember the inspections. I remember the difficulty. There were times that I personally wanted to step in, and everybody told me, "Don't." Right? Let's work our way through this. But this is it's just a little concerning to me, just because it's a lot. And again, I do over 100 million worth of construction a year, revenue wise, and so I'm used to this. It just seems very odd to me. I don't want to go off and approve variances that all of a sudden we've created unsafe situations because we've had so many variances that we're approving for the fire protection of the building.
I think that Zionsville held us to a high standard in terms of their inspections. And to the point that they wanted stamped engineering judgments on this. This is not something we always do. So I think we did have to go the extra mile. The design professional and my own design professional on my team stamped this. So they're standing behind it. I think it's safe enough. Nobody goes into a project like this trying to get away with something like this. It just happens when you have, and I think that if everyone did this kind of inspection, you would see a lot more of this. I can guarantee it.
I don't think anybody does this on purpose, by the way. I don't want you to think that, but there's sloppiness. There's people not paying attention. You've got subcontractors that may not know what they're doing. It's not being coordinated.
If I could, Josh Frost, Zionsville Fire Department.
Yep.
So the the particular issue with the tub enclosures, this is the second time we've talked about this. We asked for them to come back in and make clarification and adjustment to the detail that's previously approved. The previous detail, backing up, the original need for this, there was a layout that was missed. It was only on a certain number of units, but it created a repeating condition on our first floor because the layout was missed. There's 2x6 studding wall that the plumbing was designed to be inside of. Layout was missed, so it ended up in between, partially in the 2x6, partially the 2x4 frame. So there's a space that's created in the overall tub enclosure area. So this is intended to address that. The original approved variance was for a 2-inch gap, where we didn't have that, but it didn't address the penetration. So when we came back for that, the approval was changed and included those penetrations. However, in the field, the intumescent coating that was detailed to be applied to the underside to create that correction, the weight of that product, it wouldn't hold. It was a problem actually implementing the solution. So they changed it up and used an elastomeric instead of an intumescent, making it lighter weight, still having the heat capacity to provide that protection. So this is a cleanup of that detail to offer the elastomeric as in lieu of the intumescent in that assembly. So it's not really, we're correcting the variance that was previously approved. That's the intent of this particular.
And you guys are supportive of.
We don't oppose. It is a.
And you're catching them, so,
It's
good
a
for you.
viable solution for, it still has that interruption of the 1 hour horizontal assembly, but this provides a system where there's no electric, there's no known fire hazard inside of that cavity, but it addresses that commuting between the floor and the wall. So it's against the corridor wall, which is a bigger concern because it now addresses other systems, but this is a way to solve that with a system that is an acceptable solution. So that's this particular, that one of the 4 variances here. The other variance, yes, there was a miss somewhere on an elevation that was hit. It's a 2-story apartment, somewhere that the non-bearing partition walls inside the unit, it doesn't have that 2-hour continuous top plate. However, it's fully sprinklered. It does meet all the other requirements. We believe that the solution, they had offered to do some other blocking and mechanisms. I don't know that it offers any additional. I think it's not good practice to enforce things or require things that aren't going to improve the situation. So we're sympathetic to the position they're in. And I think that the solutions they've offered with all the other areas, and again, it meets the intent to provide the product that's needed. It was missed. It's not really a competency issue. It's just something that through the complexities of the various projects, as you know, it offers. And then the final one, I think that stairs missed, but it's outside of, it's one landing. It's not, it doesn't really impact anything. It still has full height doorway, full height access. It's going to be more of a move-in problem for our residents trying to bring furniture in those doors. But again, it doesn't really affect a life safety component. That's where we don't have an opposition to that variance as well.
Well, I appreciate your explanation because, sitting here, somebody who does this every day, right? Even for me to, put forth an opinion of, approve a variance like this, it's like, okay, well, for me, how many of those do we approve? Do we allow the whole industry to just kind of build what they want and then start submitting variances? I don't do that. We try to always comply, listen to the inspections, listen to the inspectors, fix the problem, and not go for variances, right? And that's the proper way of building. That's a safe way of building, and I'm a huge proponent for that. So this just seems initially to me to be an odd situation. I appreciate Ed's explanations, which are always very good, every single time. But hearing it from you, that at least gives me, some pause here to say, okay, this is just an odd situation.
And in the 700 units between these 3 buildings, we're talking about, I think, 10 units this impacts.
Okay,
so
good.
it's not
that's good.
The entire building that's impacted.
Cause I'm thinking it's like everywhere, they're just still building.
But it does repeat
Knowing-
X number of units.
Yeah.
It's a very small percentage of the overall.
Okay, that's even better. Probably should have led with that.
I'll move to approve A, B, C, and D.
And I will second.
Oh,
Yep.
with the stair, there's a 7-foot clearance height. Is that,
Yes.
and that's measured, is that, I guess I just want to make sure, because I work with some tall people that could be basketball players. And if they're stepping off the last step and they're 6'5", is it measured from the landing or,
It's actually it's on the ground or like as you're up to get off the stairs.
Off the stairs and going
Yeah,
around.
there's a plan view there, so yeah, you can go on.
Underneath the lane.
Walk up, everywhere you go, and then you walk some distance and then you're under that intermediate landing above.
okay, so it's not like you're walking off the last.
It is
step and it's
not-
right there.
Not step down ahead. It's
Correct, right. It's a full 7 feet. So, if it's inside the stairway, you can go 6'8", so it's within the height permitted for, within a stairway, or I should say, under a stairway. But the interpretation on this was technically it's not,
Oh,
because
stair
you're
because
already
you're not.
off the stairway,
I gotcha.
even though it's in the enclosure, that it's subject to the 7'6" rule, so, yeah.
Thank you.
It's a really deep doorway.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Panic?
Yep.
Mr. Catarina?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Thank you for indulging me there.
Oh, I mean, I tried to warn last month that it's coming, so I knew there was a little chaos to figure out yet.
Okay, sorry, we're gonna just take a couple minute break.
It's your last one, and it's
Okay.
A quick thing, at lunch, we did receive an email from that first Grapeford Farm LLC, the very first tabled one that you guys denied, asking if they could table it. So I don't know how you guys feel about that since they got back. It's just an email at noon, not to me, but to our resource account.
That one where they were trying to get an engineering assessment done and they were waiting on the results of that?
I believe so.
Okay.
We need to change it.
So
I'm gonna, yes.
Just deny. If we
Yeah.
deny. 2312.
Yeah.
So I motion to undeny.
we could.
I don't know, man.
I think that's a tough one.
Just let them refile.
Well, let's say they could resubmit, I guess that's the other
I
option.
think that's what they'd have to do.
There's another fee.
It's been denied.
Yeah, I would hate to go back on a denial.
Yes.
Exactly. But we did deny it without.
Yeah.
Didn't we
Where do
hear
you draw
from
the
them a
line?
few months ago? They were gonna get a new assessment and then we didn't really discuss that again today.
No, we haven't heard that from them. We heard back. Remember.
I mean, they've been tabled 3 times. They've been tabled 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't show up to present even an update. Really, I mean, if they're still waiting on something, just let the commission know that they're waiting on an update, we'll just retable it, but they pretty much ghosted
But
us.
they have an option to resubmit the exact same thing. To that
Did
debate.
you reply to them what happened this morning? Because I said nobody showed up. So is that much?
Doesn't have to probably pay the fee again.
They would have to pay the, even though variance, yeah.
It's what
Not ours, they didn't. Nope. Yes. That.
Okay, I can let them know.
Right, here we go. Ben says aye.
Yeah. Thank you. It's three
more.
What
did they say? 10 minutes.
Ready? There. Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
Gonna go to Shinnecock Creek. Yep, Shinnecock Creek.
Field games and then finally go.
On the 12th, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
My security in my computer does not like the Wi-Fi here. It's shutting me down every single time I try to open up an attachment.
Yeah, this was until like 15 minutes ago. And was trying to open attachments and I started getting spinning.
That's what's happening to me all afternoon. I've had it shut down 3 times.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm not even opening up attachments anymore.
Just.
Haven't had issues. You haven't had any? Logan's not having any either. I'm watching his screen. It's like, I'm thinking it must be my security. It just doesn't like it.
So I get on my laptop, my iPad, my tablet. Yeah, because we, the security networks, we have to VPN on stuff. Yeah, this shuts me down.
Yeah, I mean, I can see our variance list. I just can't open an attachment today.